Hey y'all, hey, good morning. As y'all can see, I am in my car. It is cold as hell here. Oh my goodness. When I tell y'all it's every bit of 40 degrees, I'm not used to this. Anyway, I'm on my way to go grab my mom some breakfast from Chick-fil-A once I put my seatbelt on. Y'all, that light. I'm going to be talking to you guys today as y'all journey with me to go get mommy something to eat for breakfast. And this video is basically going to be about a traumatic experience of mine as a preteen and an actual teenager. So get ready, because this here is a part of the Tonya Dalit experience.
AB on the track, yeah.
Basically, my mom and my dad separated when I was probably about, I want to say that they actually separated around my age of 11. But they were still married, of course, for like years. But daddy was no longer living at home. So I would visit my dad on the weekends, holidays, things like that. Okay. So mommy was the primary parent that my sister and I resided with. Okay. For a long time, my mom did not date anyone. And in this time, there was this guy that was like a brother to me and my sister. We'd known him all of our life, and he was fairly considered extended family. This guy used to pick me up from school. Back then I was like working in the studio because I wrote and sung, music, and I was just in and out of the studio. So as a help to my mother, he would come around and just do things like take me to the studio, pick me up from school and bring me home, and he was a help. I mean, he would get us on the weekends and things like that sometimes, earlier in the day prior to daddy picking us up or what have you. The thing about this extended family member was he knew that my mom and I didn't have the best relationship. I mean, things kind of just went downhill when my mom and my dad separated, because in my mom's mind, I reminded her of my father. My mom was the kind of mother that forced us to live under, I'm the parent, you're the child. Do as I say, not as I do. And at a very young age, that did not make any sense to me. I don't know that I actually processed it like, you're the parent, you're supposed to be the example. But for me, it just didn't sit well. Until this day, it still doesn't. So I would question things that she did, and I would question why that made sense to her. And my mom didn't like that. She just wanted us to do as she said, period, across the board. It wasn't that I had a smart mouth or anything like that. I was just very inquisitive. It's like, for me, you just had to make it make sense, you know? So anyway, I'm just kind of trying to give you some backstory, just a little bit, with why things were the way that they were between my mother and I. And it was just a lot. It was a whole lot. But back to this guy, the extended family member, the brother. When he would pick me up from school every day, Monday through Friday, when he would pick me up from school or from the library, he would buy me something to eat, and he would take me to his house. That's just the way it was. I mean, my mind just wasn't there. And especially with no grown man. I mean, this guy, I'm 13, 14, and this guy, this extended family member, is well in his 30s. My mom trusted this guy. I mean, my dad did too. My dad knew this fella as well. He had never done anything prior to this, so I trusted him as well. I hope y'all can see me. This light really sucks. So after eating the food that he bought for me and doing my homework, this extended family member would sit in the living room where I was and watch porno. Now, at this time, at this age, I had no idea of what pornography was until then. At this age, I didn't know to say, hey, this is making me uncomfortable. I just didn't think about it, even though I felt all that I felt, all the uncomfort, and talk about anxiety. I just wanted it to stop, you know. I'm picking up mommy's food, so hang on, guys. So I just sat there and I watched what he put on TV. After a while, he would tell me to come to the back room, or at least this is initially how it started. He would tell me to come to the back room, which was his room, and get comfortable, sit on the bed, lie back. And he would touch me. and speak to me in such a way that was inappropriate. And I found myself doing what I was told. Yes, I did ask why, and I did say stop, but he had such a way about him that I just began to comply with what he was asking of me. And what a fear to experience when you're in a space with just you and this other person. I mean, this grown man. I feared what else would come with being in such a position. So in this time, I found myself having anal sex with this guy. And that was what he wanted. He always wanted to have anal sex with me, where I would be, of course, turned away from him. You know, by face, I would be turned away from him, and him having his way with me. I remember feeling so disgusting, so like not myself. This happened almost every day of my life. And the way and the things that he would say to me after it was all said and done allowed me to know that he knew that my mother wouldn't believe me if I told her. I can remember this same person picking me up. He dropped me off, first of all, at the studio. And anyone who knows anything about recording in a studio, they have sound lights. And the sound lights block out sound. That's the whole purpose that they serve. So that the mic does not pick up sound. I never had to deal with men at this studio that were older than me. Coming on to me or making me feel uncomfortable at all. I mean, I just never experienced it. So I was fairly comfortable with these fellas and all of the people that I worked with at the studio. This guy that dropped me off, the brother, the extended family member, never came in to meet these people. My mom knew them. These people actually sat down and had a conversation with me when they realized my potential. They just saw me out and about singing, but they actually came to my mom's house and asked her, because I was a minor, you know, could they work with me? There was paperwork involved. Mom could anytime pop up at the studio. Like, it didn't matter. Like, we were good with these people. But this guy never came into the studio. He would just drop me off. He never came in and stayed, like none of that, and was well welcome to, but never did to meet these people who I was working with. So the studio was like a safe zone for me. Like everything that I was dealing with in my childhood, between my mom, between being raped, and I was raped altogether by 7 different people in my childhood, in my teenage life, and in my young adult life. But this is just one story. I would get picked up from this guy after my studio session was over, and I can recall the first time he did so, because of the sound lights being on, which was like I can't remember the actual color, but I remember it being a colored light. Like when the sound light would come on, all of the regular traditional lighting would go off. And at least until you were done recording in the studio booth. So when he pulled up, that was the lighting that he saw from the window of the studio. And I remember him questioning me, like, why are all the, the traditional lighting, why is all that off, and why are you in this studio with this colored light? And I'm sitting there in his truck trying to explain the entire lighting ordeal and the whole purpose that the sound light serves. He didn't believe me. He was possessive, and he swore me up and down that I was doing basically what he had me doing in the studio with the people that I was working with. And I'm sitting there trying to convince him otherwise as a child. Trying to convince an entire adult otherwise. All I can remember is my head going into his truck window on the passenger side. That's all I could remember. And I remember breaking down in tears because I felt like there was nothing that I could do. When he looked at me, he told me, if you tell your mother, she's not going to believe you, and I will deny it. He knew that my parents trusted him, and he took advantage of it. He took advantage of the fact that both my parents loved him and had this trust in him to be around their children. I was manipulated. I was raped numerous times with this guy. It brought on anxiety for me that I still deal with till today. And I didn't tell my mother for a very, very, very long time. It wasn't until I became an adult, and my mother wasn't even the first person I told. I was about, I want to say, well into my 30s, because I grew up with not having the greatest relationship with my mom. And once I left home at 16, my mother, the relationship that my mother and I had was like a roller coaster, until one day I just got tired, of forgiving and giving her more chances. Like, my mom was the kind of person, she would say whatever she wanted to say to you and would tell you, I don't care how you take it. She didn't value my feelings. She would call me a crybaby, like all of these things, and she had no idea of all the things that I was dealing with. Aside of the fact I had been molested by one of her boyfriends, and I remember trying to tell her that then, where he had basically shown himself to me, had me to touch him and all of these things. This guy's living at home with us, and I tell mom, not knowing that she was going to confront the guy in front of me and have me and this grown man going back and forth. And once he told her that he didn't do it, she believed him. So that was why I never told her about the extended family member until I was grown. And it was during a time when we were supposed to be working on our relationship, my mother and I. And it was just crazy. But her not being the first person that I told, I reached out to my aunt, my mother's sister. And I mean, like, nothing happened. Like, I told my aunt when I was in my 20s. And she was basically like, why didn't you tell me before? Why didn't you tell me before now? And to sum it all up, basically, this guy was a family member. This guy was not only extended family member with my mom and my dad, but with my mom's sister. She continued to deal with this guy, talk to this guy, have this guy over at her house, in spite of what she knew he did. And to this day, she still deals with him. To this day, I still, on some level, am threatened by this guy because he stalks me on all of my social media platforms. He is subscribed to, I know he's subscribed to our couples channel. I'm not really sure if he's subscribed to this one, but if you are subscribed to this channel, you know what you did. And now you have a wife and daughters of your own, and you know that you wouldn't want someone doing that to your child. You threatened me. You manipulated me. All while smiling in my parents' face, in my aunt's face. I can only hope that one day you will experience the trauma that you have taken me through. I've had to live with this my entire life. You had me labeled a liar, and you knew what took place, and you weren't man enough to own up to it and be accountable for your actions, your decisions, to have your way with someone's child. Stop following me. Stop going onto Facebook, liking all of my pictures, calling my sister to ask how I'm doing. Leave me alone. Don't follow me on Instagram. Unsubscribe to my channel. You have no right. Guys, pay attention to the people that you entrust around your children. I've been raped by 3 family members, 2 of which was extended family. 4 strangers, and those are whole nother other stories that I may share at a later time. I'm sharing this story in hopes that it will allow parents to be aware of the possibilities of family, who you call family, extended family, friends, all of that. No child deserves to have to go through what I went through and what I'm still dealing with as an adult today. And at 38 years old, I'm still not healed from being raped numerous times and manipulated. And the fact that my mother never believed me. See you guys in the next video.